I'd like to see more Need for Speed action stuff, because that film with those actors was great. So if they were to like come back and make a sequel, like, you know,
I'm honestly surprised there's not
years,
a Need for Speed like series.
7 to 8 years later, I'm surprised there isn't, because there's so many games, there's so much you could do, there's so much ground to cover. Hey guys, and welcome back to Fortune Theory. So here we are again with another main topic episode. So today I thought we'd talk about future plans that companies or, you know, adaptation ownership, you know, holders have over, like, that's probably not even the right
More
term.
so predictions than
just predictions as well.
Although,
like,
full disclaimer, I do have a feeling that yours are going to be more actual predictions. Mine are just like, I wish this could happen. Half of mine are I wish this would happen. Half of them are actual, like, this could happen. A lot of them are just like, that would be a cool idea. I wish that it would exist, but
the time of filming this is Wednesday, because I'm not around Thursday for either the live stream or to get a video out for filmed or to be released on Friday. So we come with like news that you probably would have heard 2 days ago if made official. Fantastic Beasts just got the title for its third film, Secrets of Dumbledore, which I literally watched the film back in January, and I thought, what could the next one be? The Lies or Secrets of Dumbledore? And then, like, literally, my friend messages me now. It's like,
there we go.
I was fucking right.
Fucking raw. I was
fucking raw. I was right.
It was fucking
raw. Yeah. But anyway. So I'm going to give you an example. So Warner Bros. And like HBO Max are talking about making a reboot for Harry Potter, for instance. And I know that's going to be a huge controversial topic for a lot of people, because they're going to be like, well, no, it's great as it is. You don't need to do anything to it. Personally, I mean, I've never seen no to Harry Potter content. I mean, there's always ways they can readapt the books and make, you know, I wouldn't say better, but, you know, something that's just as good. There's again, different ways, basically. New again versions. Yeah. Like, and obviously for a new generation of fans who probably aren't going to read the books or watch the movies that are, by their time, are going to be, shall we say, outdated because of when they're out. So like, I've worked out a rough estimate of like how this would work. So they've talked about doing it. I think the best thing for them to do, rather than make it a film series or like video games or anything like that, make it a TV series for a start, under the simple title of Harry Potter, or Harry Potter in the 2030s or something. Because I'd say, like, that's the name of the TV show, but that doesn't mean the story takes place during that time. It's like when you see like a remake of a film, they usually have like the year it comes out in brackets, so you don't mistake it for the original adaptation. So like, you know, there's something like that as well. So my idea would be, it would come out in like the 2030s, because that's like, you know, 2031 would be when season 1 comes out. Season 1's based off Philosopher's Stone. So already the season has a title, it's the Philosopher's Stone. And each episode is a chapter in the book, basically. So I looked at all the Harry Potter book chapter titles. So there would be roughly 17 episodes. So episode 1, The Boy Who
American
Lived.
length series here, are we?
So episode 1, The Boy Who Lived. 2, The Vanishing Glass. 3, The Letters from No One. 4, The Keepers of the Keys. 5, Diagon Alley. 6, The Journey from Platform 9 3/4. 7, The Sorting Hat. 8, The Potions Master. 9, The Midnight Duel. 10, Halloween. 11, Quidditch. 12, The Mirror of Erised. 13, Nicholas Flamel. 14, Norbert the Norwegian Ridgeback. 15, The Forbidden Forest. 16, Through the Trapdoor. And 17, The Man with Two Faces. And that's just season 1, and then that would come out because the story in the film adaptation makes it so the story kind of could like unanimously either start in like June or July. I'd say the story pretty much roughly starts around Harry Potter's birthday, so like maybe premiere the series on like the last Friday of July, and then just build it
specific
up.
Then
build it up July. Through the build because a lot of the first chapters are based before, especially for the first book, are based on before he goes to Hogwarts. That's how, like, you know, for all July, August, we're just dealing with all the home stuff, and then by the time the first Friday of September comes around, we're at a book where he goes to school, and then obviously throughout the rest of the year, once the 17-week period is done, that's season 1, and then they do the same thing with season 2, season 3, season 4. as well. So like obviously season 2 would be the Chamber of Secrets, and that'll have an extra story because there's 18 chapters in that book. So it would be roughly around the same sort of release dates, but with an extra week added on. Prison of Azkaban's much longer. It's got actually an additional 4 chapters to it, so it'll be an additional 4 weeks on top of the extra added week already from the previous year's season. So that would like eventually it would just get to a point where it goes into the year after that, and then like if they think, oh, we need to postpone production so we have more time to work on the next series, then there's just like there's a year delay perhaps at most, but most of it's all like shot back to back.
Yeah.
Like the actors would obviously have to sign contracts and stuff, and you'd have to get like young actors to make it legit. So like 12 to 13-year-olds playing like 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, and then they'd go up in age each year, rather than do it the way the original adaptation did it, where they filmed the first 2 films, waited 2 years, then did the next 2, waited 2 years, then did the 5th one, waited 2 years, then did the last 3 films. Years 6 and 7.
So you wouldn't do series a year, or would you?
So it would be one series a year,
right?
But there's like, for instance, I think season 4 and 5 have like 37 to 38 chapters in them. So that would
Jesus Christ, that's
so that would be
you'd have to break that up into like
so
maybe
that would be
18 episodes or 20, because that
well, it's a chapter per the way it works. The way I'm doing it is that it would be a chapter per episode, and
that's
episode
nearly
would be a
40
chapter.
episodes in one season. That's too much.
Well, then then we could split the seasons, I suppose.
Yeah, you'd have to do a season 6 or something, because
like
nearly 40 episodes in one season is too much.
Well, I was gonna do, I would say 8 seasons, and then like there would, but from what I worked out,
8. Are you feeling all right?
No, but it's the audience that will hate me more for this than myself, because it would be based on the cursed child. But loads of people don't like that and consider it canon. But I worked out like it would be like roughly 16 episodes. And it would be a breakdown of, because they're not split into chapters because it's a playbook, so it would be split into acts. So there would be, the first one would be 19 years later, which would be based off that opening scene. Right. The second one would be 3 years into Hogwarts, where Albus and Scorpius' friendship's brewing, and he's not having a good time because he's in Slytherin. Episode 3 is all about the Time Turner stuff. Episode 4 is all about Amos Diggory, Cedric Diggory's dad, who wants to resurrect his son by traveling back in time. The 5th episode is basically based on Harry and Albus's like sort of relationship. They have a falling out, and that kind of damage is done. Episode 6 is about Albus and Scorpius wanting to get the Time Turner to resurrect Cedric from the dead, so they escape the Hogwarts train to go find it. So I called the episode Escaping the Express, which I thought was cool. Episode 7 is where Harry gets his like nightmares and his scar starts to hurt again. Episode 8 is where they've traveled back in time, so they're at the Triwizard Tournament now, of 1994, because that would have been when it was set. Episode 9 is the alternate timeline, which they travel back to once they've created it. Then they realize that's screwed up. So then in episode 10, they have to go back to the second task of the Triwizard Tournament. So back to the second task. Episode 11 is when they then go back to the present once again. Again, the timeline's been changed. So this time, like, Harry died at the end of the war. Voldemort took over, and the school now teaches dark magic. And Dolores Umbridge is the head mistress of Hogwarts. So it's the return of Professor Dolores Umbridge. Episode 11. Episode 12 is the whole Snape, everything that happened between basically Snape and Scorpius. So I just simply called it Snape and Scorpius. Episode 13 is where we find out about Delphi, her true colors, being and like her being the daughter of like Bellatrix and Voldemort and whatnot. Episode 14 is when they travel back to the day before Lily and James were killed by Voldemort. So it's the 30th of October 1981. Episode 15 is where Harry disguises himself as Voldemort to try and talk down Delphi or whatever. And then episode 16 is basically Harry having closure of his parents' death by letting Voldemort kill them. And then they return to the present timeline, and Delphi gets sent to Azkaban, and everything just gets reset and put in the correct place. What the fuck?
I don't have a comb on.
What the hell? Out of nowhere, you just pick up a massive dagger and just start swiping your head.
It's a penknife. Like, okay, it's the biggest one.
Jesus Christ!
But
not see that coming.
It's legal.
But yeah, like they don't necessarily have to do that. Like that's just an option. I've made a perfect like kind of semi-finale in season 7 anyway, because obviously I hate the number 8. Not many people like Cursed Child, and
you hate the number 8, and then it has reasons for everyone else. So
it has reasons for everyone else. So they're not gonna be like. So the last chapter makes up 36 chapters in Deathly Hallows, and the last one's called The Flaw in the Plan.
Brilliant. Your reaction was priceless. Sorry.
And the last one was the last chapter is called Flaw in the Plan. So my plan was to, no pun intended, was to split that into 2 parts, because obviously there's the epilogue for the whole book series at the end, which you would need to fit in as well. So I thought if we do part 1 that purely focuses on that chapter, part 2 which does the rest of it, and then the epilogue at the end as well of that episode, because it's a separate entity, it kind of feels weird, like defeating the villain and then doing another episode to end the series, which is based purely off the epilogue.
Right.
And perhaps a few references to Cursed Child that, aren't going to piss off fans. And then that just leads them into a story that they're never going to see. But I just thought it'd be better to do the final chapter as 2 parts, because it's the final chapter. So there's really big, so you want to get as much detail as possible. And you can like not add stuff that's going to contradict the story, but obviously, make stuff work here and there, as like they did in the film, and they adapted it. And then just at the end of this, obviously it'll be a shorter part of the chapter that's included for the second episode, the part 2, which makes 37 episodes in that season. But you're also including
you would have to cut that, unless you could mark that episode as like the longest season ever. Because I imagine it would be up there.
Well, no, because like the longest season is season 5, because it has 38 episodes.
Jesus Christ! I don't think.
Whereas that one only has 37 on the technicality that if you could technically either go one of 2 options, you could either make the 19 years later epilogue 1 episode.
Could you not make every
that finale's the show, or you could?
Surely you could.
You can. You probably can, but
it's just
not.
How long is each episode?
Well, it would be good enough a long amount of time to be able to adapt what you need to adapt. So I'd say give it between like 45 minutes to an hour.
People aren't going to watch 38 hours though in one season.
Not all in one go, no, but over time, yeah. It would be about somewhere between 30 to...
I mean, I might be wrong.
30...
People would maybe love a 37 or 38 season show.
Well, you wouldn't be able to... Let's put it this way. You wouldn't be able to sit down and watch all in a day.
Well, it's longer than a day.
Can't. Yeah.
Most likely.
It's long.
If it's 45 minutes to an hour.
Well, I don't know. Like, I just want... Hours. It'll be however long it will be, because they'll have to be like, some might be like 20 minutes, some might be, because they're just short chapters that aren't very pivotal. Some might be 30 minutes because they need to express information. Some might be 45 minutes because they need to express a lot of information. Some might be an hour because they're big chapters by nature, or just because they have
38 minutes. Did you say 38 episodes?
Yeah, so if you were to divide that by the average running time of an episode,
that would be 28 and a half hours. If they were 45-minute episodes, it would be 28 and a half hours.
So that's almost a day.
No, that's over a day.
No, because there's 24 hours in a day.
Yeah, and this is 28.5.
Sorry.
This would be 4.5 hours over one day. Like a day and 4.5 hours.
Wait, 28 episodes. Well, yeah, if it's
38 45-minute episodes would be 28 hours.
Season 1 has 17 episodes for a start. So like that's the first one. That's the first one you want to focus on. Doing it by chapter. Well, that was my plan anyway.
That's
like
all right.
that's how
just
I do
a long series. That's a long show.
Well, no, because it's fleshed out more. Because otherwise, what you end up doing is people might just be like, "Oh, you might as well make it a film." Because you're just like, you could, I suppose, condense it even more and just make everything that happened before Hogwarts an episode, and then episode 2 is when you go to Hogwarts, and then that's like a couple of chapters.
When do we arrive in Hogwarts then?
You don't arrive in Hogwarts until episode 7, which is the Sorting Hat.
we have 6 hours of content almost before Hogwarts.
Well, no, because
Really?
those could be like 20-minute episodes.
Oh,
So that would be 2 hours worth of content before you get to Hogwarts.
So an entire
But
film.
technically, yeah, but it's not like, obviously Hogwarts is like the main place you want to go, but like obviously there's other places in the lore that you'd want to visit as well. Like you want to go to the Dursleys because you need to see that. You want to go to Diagon Alley because there's a whole episode on Diagon Alley, season 1.
Fair enough.
If you follow the chapter.
Before I fall asleep, what are
And
the other series?
Yeah, so like obviously season 1's, the first book, season 2's the second, third, fourth. Season 2 is the Chamber of Secrets, 3 is Prisoner of Azkaban, 4 is Goblet of Fire, 5 is Order of the Phoenix, 6 is Half-Blood Prince.
You're not completely redoing
7 is Deathly Hallows, and if there was to be an 8th one, it would be Cursed Child. But that's if it could be converted into not only a better story, but for adaptation purposes, but also just a series. And that would be the shortest one, only going for about 16 episodes, because that's all I could fit into what make an episode. Yeah, that's not the only plan. I know that Disney Plus are developing a Percy Jackson reboot, which I think is well needed because the two films, and I've learned this even more today because I watched Movie Flame, who's a really amazing podcaster, by the way, who talks about adaptation franchises, and I would definitely recommend to go check him out because he's like a huge inspiration as to why I've like gone and watched all of these. He's talking about Percy Jackson and Lightning Thief and Sea of Monsters, and how Sea of Monsters, obviously, it's already been, a lot of stuff has already had to been changed in Lightning Thief, and because of that, it's contradicted how they told the story of Sea of Monsters, which now even makes less sense. And then there's things that they just added even in it to make it even worse that made less sense because they didn't choose to follow source material. So those two films are now awful. And now I have to buy the first two books as well because I thought the first two films would be fine. Then I could just read the third, fourth, and fifth book. But I'm a degenerate, so of course that's my like idealism. But yeah, my plan for that basically is the exact same. Only I've got what I call the Camp Half-Blood Chronicles TV series, which is kind of what he calls his universe of the 3-book franchises: Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Heroes of Olympus, and the Trials of Apollo. And so there's 15 seasons, and they follow each of those books. So the first 5 seasons are The Lightning Thief, The Sea of Monsters, The Titan's Curse, The Battle of the Labyrinth, The Last Olympian, and the Last Olympian. Yeah, so that's the Percy Jackson, the Olympians like side of it, but that's the first 5 seasons of the overall show. Obviously, all the episodes will be chapters from all those books, or perhaps, as Pat's been telling me in conversation, as we've just said, a better version of how that could be portrayed, perhaps. But I only say do it by chapter because then it means you can flesh it out individually. You can flesh out each chapter individually, like rather than do a whole book as a film and then miss bits out or not include bits because they're not as crucial. Consider it all crucial, but just work on it in a more simplistic way, which to me is that it probably would have a bigger budget, I expect, but overall. But yeah, like that's my idea.
Especially if you're gonna have like 30 plus episodes, you're gonna have to have a bit of a budget.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's kind of my idea, but unless you guys think you can know of a better way to do it in a way that's a bit similar to that, where everything still gets explained and expressed, then yeah, let us know in the comments. But with Percy Jackson, so seasons 1 through 5 would be based off their books, and then season 6 through to 10, I believe.
3, 6, 9, 12, 15. You're close. Is it close to 400 episodes? No, close to like 200.
Yeah, season 6 through to 10 would be the Heroes of Olympus. So that would be season 6, The Lost Hero, 7, The Son of Neptune, 8, The Mark of Athena, 9, The House of Hades, and 10, The Blood of Olympus. And then the final 11 through 15 would be the Trials of Apollo, where season 11 would be The Hidden Oracle, season 12 would be The Dark Prophecy, season 13 would be The Burning Maze, season 14 would be The Tyrant's Tomb, and season 15 would be The Tower of Nero.
Yeah.
Then there would be a spin-off television specials set in and amongst, obviously, the canon of those 15 seasons, which would probably come out during it, but I don't know when, obviously. So we have the Demigod Files, the Demigod Diaries, the Son of Soberg. I've probably not pronounced that right. Suburg. The Staff of Serapis, the Crown of Ptolemy, I think that's it. Percy Jackson and the Singer of Apollo, and Demigods of Olympus. So those would be all like TV specials or documentaries or shorts. And then there's 2 other book franchises he did that are set in the same kind of universe, but I won't put them in the Chronicles series because they're not part of the Chronicles Camp Half-Blood Chronicles saga show. So it would be the Kane Chronicles, which would be a 3-season TV series where season 1 would deal with those. Season 1 through 3 would deal with those 3 books. So season 1, the Red Pyramid; season 2, the Throne of Fire; season 3, the Serpent's Shadow. And then there's Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, which again would be a trilogy show with 3 seasons. Season 1, the Swords of Summer; season 2, the Hammer of Thor; season 3, the Ship of the Dead. And they just all be set. That would all be set in the same universe, but that would be kind of how they did it. So there, they did an adaptation of every book as a television show, episodic medium, and then obviously they can make that work and release what they want, where they want, and things. But yeah, like I know Disney Plus are definitely doing that, and they just haven't got a set release date or production date yet. But I don't. They could do in. That's how I would have done it personally, because it simplifies such a massive like branded franchise of books. Like Rick Riordan has literally, I call the franchise on its own the RCU, the Riordan Chronicles universe, because
nice.
yeah, because it just simplifies stuff, and MCU and shit. But yeah, like that's how I would have gone about doing that. But and then and obviously each episode of each season is a chapter, unless you guys or Patrick can contradict my argument on how or why it shouldn't just be chapters per episode, and it should be a couple chapters condensed or adapted to make the story
work. If you can
work.
justify the reason for every chapter being,
if the budget allows it, and
I don't think
the episodes work.
I don't think you could crack. If the average budget for an episode is, say, I don't know, $1 million, I don't think you could get 38 million. Or like, it would probably you'd be lucky to get maybe like 15 million per series, maybe 20 million per series. So trying to like stretch a 15 million like budget across 38 episodes, and I know for independent people, yes, 15 million would be a godsend amount of money, but like that's fuck all for like 38 like episodes of 8 like big time.
Have you got some examples
for what?
Well, not necessarily like
exactly. Well, you've done your series.
I've done mine.
Mine are very contrasting compared to that. Like, because yours are obviously based on Lord of the Rings. That's what yours. Yeah, yours are book franchises and Harry Potter and everything.
Well, they're making. They are making a series based off that.
Yeah.
And they've even got some set photos from it. So technically, they're already in like mids animation or production of some sort. But I don't really care about that. But I suppose like the most logical thing they could do is probably again how I would have done it, how I've just explained it for Harry Potter and Percy Jackson. Literally, just take the books,
we're getting this Lord of the Rings series in
Hobbit's just one book, isn't it? The Hobbit is just one book.
I'm the wrong person to ask there. Maybe
one of them's one of the series is a trilogy, and the other's just one single-stranded book. Get all 4 books, adapt them as a TV show. Call it the Middle Earth series, and
make books, every chapter. Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. Is that wait what?
I don't know. One of them is a trilogy. I think Lord of the Rings is the trilogy, and
Hobbit is one book. Yeah, we got obviously the Two Towers, Fellowship of the Ring, Return of the King, and then the Hobbit. Yeah.
Yeah, like get all of those. Call the TV show the Middle Earth Saga. Readapt.
Well, we're getting literally. It's called the Lord of the Rings, I think, which is that new Prime show coming literally just under a year now, 2nd of September on Prime next year.
Yeah, so that kind of sounds like what it's going to be. So yeah, it's going to be Lord of the Rings. So take the 3 books, season them by make them seasoned by the book, chapterize the episodes.
Basically, you're breaking down each film into an episodic. Like, if there's 12 chapters to a book, then make it 12 episodes. Or if there's
Yeah.
28 chapters, make it about 15 episodes or something.
Thing is, though, like, I suppose if the chapter is boring, like probably what some of them are for at least all the books of everything that I'm referencing.
You
If
want to
that's
break
the
them.
case,
You want to like
if that's the
condense them.
case, then yeah, you probably want to condense those, and you probably want to add them to more interesting
Like I reckon
follow
that
up of
38 would
preceding
maybe
chapters.
become like 22 or 26.
Well, yeah, and I suppose it would help with budget as well, and / originality. But like where it calls for a chapter to be purely explained or
Well, like
expressed on its
imagine
own,
trying to
then that's the
imagine
next
trying
episode.
to do pre-production and production on 38 episodes in 1 year. That's a lot.
Well, it's not my problem. It's I'm pitching it to somebody who's going to become their problem. That's my mindset on it. You know, it's not my problem. That's up to them. You know, get it done.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Because let's not forget that
I'm such a see you next Tuesday.
Like, and most TV and film for like the actual content we see in the series or an episode is about 1%, if that, maybe like 0.5% of the total recorded footage. So 38 hours of content, 28 to 30 hours of content is going to be like 3 weeks worth of film of like actual footage, and 3 weeks worth of footage is probably close to like 6 months of constant filming, I imagine. That's nuts. That's insane. That's half a year of non-stop, like like sort of 6 days on, 1 day off, 6 days on, 1 day off, 1 day off for about 5 months. That's like you're gonna give them a headache, Ollie, to this.
Yeah.
They'll be like, sure, as long as you fund it.
Well, they'll love it. They'll love the idea, but then when it comes to technicalities of it, they'll be shitting themselves. Are you drinking wine?
I am.
I was waiting for you to say no. It's like it's elderflower or something.
Nah, it's not that. It's not that pussy.
No, I'm drinking elderflower.
No, elderflower.
Elderflower.
It's only elderflower here.
It's only elderflower.
Yeah.
What are you having for dessert, Gato?
God. So my ideas, right?
Gelato. Oh, shit. Great. Say something posh and swear afterwards.
Brilliant. So my ideas.
My laptop's gonna die, so I'm gonna move to my phone.
Brilliant. Here we go.
Yeah.
So
well, when it does, anyway.
My ideas are not very predictive, as opposed to like Ollie's that are like, well, Lord of the Rings is actually happening, and it is happening. Is it even being filmed now? No one can see you smiling.
I know. I was gonna make a noise the moment I knew it was gonna die.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. So his are more like they actually could happen because they're just franchises that exist. Franchises love to expand. So my first one I immediately thought of before we were recording this is I've spoken to friends about this in the past, and having watched some films that are in the style I wish this would happen in, I would love to see a Call of Duty miniseries, most likely a miniseries, probably based around the events of either Modern Warfare or Modern Warfare 2. So this is bringing, a game into the TV light. I feel like a miniseries will work best. Having seen how like the events of watching Chernobyl on HBO's Chernobyl's on Prime as well, that really seeing how the event of Chernobyl, like the Chernobyl disaster took place and how they made that into I think it was 5 parts, it might have been 6 parts, I can't remember now, but they made that into a mini series and it worked insanely well, and they could have made it into a film and it would have probably still worked well, but I feel like probably if Ollie would argue here that he would probably want Modern Warfare 1, 2 and 3 to be 3 different series, which I'm not against if it was to happen.
Well,
I just love the idea of Modern Warfare 1, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, as a mini-series, like a 4 to 6 part about the events of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. and that just to me that's
I mean, like if you, I suppose, again, it comes down to the whole like how you want to go about it. Like again, going back to the Harry Potter like side of it, like you could make each chapter an episode, but then you might as well just make them a film if you're going to do that. But that's why I said make the books like, the seasons
mm.
and, do it that way. So
Well,
like,
the idea of I think the best way to work out if something should be a series or not is if there's like a sort of ABC plot going on. If there is side stories, if there is a B plot to a certain extent.
for instance,
Um,
MCU, like I bet you could probably take all of those characters, those concepts and ideas, you could make all of that one, a one season thing. And then
yeah,
season 2 is what they're doing now with phase 4 through 6. Or
yeah,
or alternatively, you know, they've kind of already done this in film form. Phase 1 again, but it has all the content, including all the TV shows and the side stuff and all that. It's all individual episodes. It's phase 1, but it's season 1. They do all the same stuff with season 2 and all of its side content, all of it with season 3. And then, now they're on season 4 with, phase 4 stuff with TV shows and all that malarkey.
yeah.
But it's like one episode per medium, like regarding the TV shows. So like basically Loki is condensed as one episode but for its whole plot line. So it might as well just be a movie. Same with WandaVision, same with Falcon and Winter Soldier.
But I think that would work really well. I don't know how some Call of Duty fans would react to that because I mean it's hard to in terms of the story, I feel like the length of it requires a mini series, although I don't know how you'd split it up. I kind of like the idea of it being a film, but at the same time, that it would like the beginning and the end, the length. I feel like it would play out better in mini series form, or at least no more than like 6 episodes, probably. Depends how much like towards the end of Modern Warfare would play out. And then, of course, if that does well, you'd probably want to have the events of Modern Warfare 2 in maybe like a 12-part series, and then just every single thing that happens around the world of Modern Warfare 3. But yeah, my main plan would be Modern Warfare. If Modern Warfare could be a mini series, yeah, you're saying.
I'd like to see more Need for Speed action
Yeah.
stuff because that film with those actors was great. So if they were to like come back and make a sequel, like
I'm honestly surprised
7
there's not
years,
a Need for Speed
7 to 8,
like
7
series.
to 8 years later, I'm surprised there isn't because there's so many games. There's so much you could do. There's so much ground to cover.
Imagine
I suppose I think
all
I think they've kind of got the
Need for Speed like Hot Pursuit as a series, like People on the Run or something. Like it would just work.
well. I think the only thing that's holding them back is the fact that, and this is coming from probably the same people that said they justify the reason why Fast and Furious are action movies because not many people are into the idea of the racing genre for a film
No.
series, which is probably why that hasn't occurred. Because yes, there's not much like people like stuff that has physical confrontation and action in it, and like obviously Fast and Furious has that now, but not for reasons relevant to driving a car. So all the time, or at least not
Fast and
realistically
Furious
anyway.
has converted into like illegal racing to now using cars as tools for like heists and jobs and
Yeah.
vehicle like vehicular
Like
action.
you'll never watch one without like vehicular, like it has a whole different meaning, doesn't it?
It's like vehicular
Yeah.
action now instead of just a race.
More like vehicle action. Don't you mean vehicle?
Vehicle. I'd say my next one would probably be.
So yeah, I'd say that's probably why Need for Speed hasn't been adapted because Fast and Furious is kind of like taking over, proving why that will and won't work.
Something we're part of. I won't even say now. There's a game that would work great as a series or a set of series, but
I think I know what you're talking about. Carl's gonna shoot you. Carl's gonna shoot you in the face,
and that may or may not work really well.
No,
so
it won't. It'll work better than what we're doing. Yeah, because it would. It would. So thank you, Carl. Yeah, it would.
A certain game series would work really well as a show. So that'd be good. Did you just? There he goes, and he just dies. So that would work really well. But I think that here he goes. You need to call me on Messenger. There he goes.
I'm so offended. I thought I'd leave.
And don't forget to rotate your thing as well. I think that
I was holding it. Oh, look more
like I
attractive.
said, that would work really well. That would work great. But the other thing, I did just think of this, and you're gonna roll your eyes at this, and if it like doesn't like, I just thought there is a cool point to this. Dunkirk, which immediately Ollie's gonna roll his eyes at, and everyone that knows me will roll their eyes at. Dunkirk has a like 3 plot. It's got like an ABC plot going on to it. It's got 3 like interlaced plots. You're upside down now.
Yeah. That really did not work in my favor.
It did not. You're upside down. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So there's land, sea, and air in Dunkirk, and I think that would just like, I don't know about you, but that would either work well as a mini series or not. I don't think it would work as 3 series because that's dumb to have like the same timeline but over 3 series, unless you mix them. But I think 1 series, like a 4 to 6 episodes, is like a good length for a short series about oh no, you can still see the mouse, about the events of Dunkirk. Maybe obviously more drawn out. Each thing has maybe events that didn't happen in the film, obviously, but I think that would play out really well. To a certain extent, like it's actually quite a short film. Really, it's only about hour. I think Dunkirk was about an hour 30, hour 40, which is quite short for Nolan's films. But overall, you could probably draw that out into like probably 3 to 4 hours worth of content, which is maybe like 4 to 6 40-minute episodes, because it allows for events like the evacuation of the beach onto the port, and then the sinking medical ship. That could literally be like an entire episode at the same time, because you could still interlace the events, like the evacuation of the beach at the first 20 minutes, and the Mark Rylance's character and his son and the boy that dies in it, spoiler alert, it's been out a few years, on the boat leaving. Like that would work as like a good first episode. So introduce it, like just the events of the film and some other events that you wouldn't have seen in the film purely because of time and the plot wouldn't allow for it to play out, and little things, and sort of, I think it would work because there's so many, there's 3 individual routes, there's 3 different plots that are taking place at the same time, which is what a good series has. It's sort of got A, B, and if there is a C plot, there's a C plot. But yeah, also potentially, I'm going to go on about Nolan for just one more Nolan idea. The Prestige was a great film, and I know it was mainly about like the whole, copying hats and that bullshit. But I mainly mean in like Now You See Me, but better. So like a modern The Prestige. So the same plot of like trying to copy the idea, but at the same time, was it the idea, like that plot, but in modern form, could be cool, and not even as a series potentially, just as another feature. But that as a new story again could work, and even the same characters, because that would be magic, and because it is magic, Know what I mean, Ollie?
Sorry. I was busy admiring myself to like acknowledge what you were saying, but yeah.
Your haircut looks like you've put your finger in an electric socket. Like
I kind of did a minute ago. I'm not gonna lie.
How?
Because I screwed up with the camera light.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But there's our predictions, and well, more so Ollie's predictions, mine what I would like to see happen one day maybe, but the chances are, I just thought the Modern Warfare miniseries would be cool, but if you really wanted to stretch things out, you could have the new Modern Warfare in miniseries form, or the new Modern Warfare as a film, and then make a second film like 5 or 6 years later, or a miniseries about the events of Modern Warfare because Captain Price is older. Think about that, COD fans like myself. Anyway, prediction.
Going back to what you were saying about Nolan, I'd say what I want to see is a spin-off series with Dick.
With what?
With Dick.
Dick.
Yeah, with Dick. Is that his name?
What?
Oh, sorry. Grayson, whatever. What the rookie cop, the guy who walks into the man cave, the Bat Cave at the end of Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, in the Dark Knight, yeah. His name in real life I forget, but yeah.
Character name.
Robin.
I don't know. The guy who is going to go on to be Robin. I would love to see that, but obviously we're a bit 9 years late to the party, so he's going to be aged a lot by now.
Yeah, you'd want to see something about that, like fleshed out. Yeah. Or
well,
like the creation of Robin in Nolan's Gotham.
If they can de-age him and make it canon to that the Nolan's trilogy, that would be great.
Interesting. Well, let us know what you think about our predictions, and what would you like to see as a film, miniseries, or TV series, or fleshed out set of series in the description. And we'll see you on.
Fucking like
We'll see you on Monday for another Ramble Rant, and then next Wednesday final episode of What If next week, anyway, isn't it? So
no, the week after next.
The week after, so we got 2 more. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see you on Monday.
9 days.
Ta-da! Cha-cha.
Ow! Fuck!
Oh, fuck, what recorded?
Keep that in.